Hey ink drinkers, I am here with the first official check-in for Old School April. I am going to do these check-ins about once a week. I am a day late in putting this together because, well, yesterday was hectic and we're just coming out of Easter weekend. So here we are, a little bit late, but it's okay because it's actually been a full week since we started Old School April. I'm just gonna kind of bump everything ahead a day or so. So I have racked up some points this week along with my family. They've kind of tagged along. Anything that I do will earn points. Anything they do outside of what I'm doing is just for fun for them. We got into some fun stuff, either as a family or I spent some one-on-one time with some of the kids or just did things on my own. So here we go. The sole book I finished this week is called The Village of Gil, and this is by Damian Casey. This was sitting on my Kindle for at least a couple of years. And I am so glad that I finally got to it. It was so much fun. It is like a choose your own adventure horror book for adults with the Sharky theme. It was so much fun. I actually chose my own adventure and got through a good chunk of the book. Then I went back and kept choosing different options so that I read the entire book. Not just for the point factor, but just so that I didn't miss a single thing. I wanted to see how things ended up in each scenario, and it was so much fun. Because of that, I jumped into another book by Damian Casey called Coffin Dodger, and I need to get back to it. I think I only read one or two nights since I picked that up, and I'm about 15% through. This is on my Kindle, and so I will share more about that one when I'm finished. My personal read that I am currently a little over halfway through is my best friend's Exorcism, and I am absolutely loving this. So far, it's feeling like a 5-star. We shall see how things end up, but I have tabbed anything that's like nostalgic to me, any music references, pop culture references that I recognize, and we are full of tabs here. It's been so much fun, and I apologize to, I think one of my daughters might read this when I'm done, so I apologize to you for all the tabs you're gonna have to take out. If you are not familiar with Grady Hendrix, he writes a lot of horror books that are filled with nostalgia, filled with humor. I really love his writing style. I've read Horror Store, Final Girl Support Group, which wasn't my favorite of his, Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, and I think there might be one or two more. There are so many that I still need to read, and I'm just taking my time going through his catalog of books. If you're not familiar with my best friend's Exorcism, this follows a girl and her best friend, and then some, other side characters, set in the 80s. And as you can imagine, things get a little dark and twisty. The first chunk of the book was so much nostalgia and like building of their friendship. They became friends when they were younger, and they reach high school, and that's when all the stuff starts happening. So it's a lot of fun. And I'll leave it there because I don't want to spoil things for you. I'm loving the nostalgia. I'm loving the friendship and the dedication to each other and things like that. Or not so much dedication to each other in certain circumstances, but it's a very relatable read for me. And even though I was a teenager in the 90s to early 2000s, the 80s is nostalgic to me as well because I was born in 82, so there's a lot of memories attached to that decade. The read aloud that we've only accomplished a tiny bit in is Creep Over the House Next Door. So I'm kind of more reading this aloud with my youngest two. We'll see who ends up reading the whole thing with me. We really enjoy this series. It's spooky and it's fun and it holds our attention. So, oh no, I lost my spot. So what's not to love about this series? More on that soon. Moving on to the movies. My broken little heart is here to say that my kids did not dig The Neverending Story as much as I hoped they would. They started off watching The Neverending Story with me. About halfway through, my husband looked over and said, "Hey, you're watching this all by yourself?" So they kind of trickled out as we were watching it. But I loved rewatching this movie. The first time I remember watching this, we were at a place called Star World. I don't know if that was like a chain thing or just local to our area, but they had a big screen that played movies, and then there was like a big arcade and you could get pizza and things like that. And they were playing The Neverending Story, and it was the worst part of the movie that was playing. That's the first memory of this movie. But I ended up watching the entire thing a few times, and it's such a good story. I really love it, and I don't know why my kids didn't stick around for the whole thing, but you know, you win some, you lose some. But I did finish this movie on my own. This movie came out in 1984. It was rated PG, and I got 8 points for it. The second movie I finished, I watched with a couple of my kids. I can't remember who stuck that one out. It came out in 1996. I think it's rated PG. There's not a lot of information on the rating. It's not like upfront. So I'm not sure. Maybe it just wasn't rated at all. But it was Wish Upon a Star. And it's kind of a Freaky Friday style movie where sisters kind of traded bodies and had to navigate life in each other's bodies and try to figure out how to get back to themselves. So very Freaky Friday, super cheesy, but it was a lot of fun. So that one got me 5 points. I then watched SLC Punk for the very first time. I can't believe I've never seen that before. And this is a 1998 movie that was rated R, and it got me 5 points. So I watched that with one of my adult kids. And then a couple movies that I watched on my own. I did the spinny wheel thing and let fate decide what I would watch next, because I have so many things on my to be watched list on Tubi. I'm trying to stick mostly to Tubi because there's so many nostalgic watches on there. But the first one that the spinning wheel landed on was Cellar Dweller. This is a 1987 movie. It was TVMA, and it got me 6 points. This one was a lot of fun because it was about a woman who went to kind of an art community. It's like a house with a bunch of different artists that approached different types of art, videography, painting, performing arts, and she was a comic book artist. And so she was trying to kind of channel a man who used to live in this house who created a comic called Cellar Dweller. And the comics kind of came alive. We'll leave it there. The next one that I watched is in a similar vein, but this was a comedy horror, and I didn't even think about the similarities until just now that I'm talking about them. And this was Saturday the 14th. This was a 1981 comedy horror, like I said, and is PG. So I could have watched this with my kids. The scary creatures in this were pretty tame. I don't think they would have scared them at all. And I'm not sure how much they would have scared me as a kid. I don't know. Probably not very much. But it's a comedy horror, so it's not meant to like scare. It's meant to entertain. This one got me 8 points. The similarity in this one is that a book that has been opened releases the evil within. Drawings that come alive, opening books that bring out evil. I don't know. It had that similarity. So this follows a family that inherited, I think it was the father's uncle's place, and it is run down. It is kind of creepy, and not everybody's happy about being there, but you know, the parents are making the best of it. And their son, who he's probably like 10, I don't know, opened a book that said Book of Evil on the front, I believe, and things happened. And so there's people or creatures that are trying to help them navigate this. We don't always know who's friend or foe. We don't always know what's gonna happen, but it was a good time and I enjoyed it. So I got a few laughs out of there too. So I didn't watch any TV shows that I racked points up for. I guess I could count my TV shows that I'm watching, but I just, it doesn't feel right to me. I don't want to watch my current shows, which are all pretty old anyway, but unless I watch something like Gilmore Girls, I'm just gonna not count points if I'm watching just our family shows. Didn't watch anything specifically for Old School April, but I did watch 2 episodes of Looney Tunes with my kids, and we're going to continue that through the month because it's entertaining for all of us. It's nostalgic for me, and the kids really enjoy it, and I really like that it's something that's not so vocal. It's just a lot of like physical humor in those. The kids and I also joined the Saturday morning cartoons watch party with Kelsey, which we'll get into that a little bit more later. We joined a little bit late, so we missed most of the first cartoon, so I did not count that in my points. I was told I could, but I didn't want to. I didn't feel right doing it because we were there for the last like minute of that one. So we did watch the full episodes of Johnny Bravo, The Wuzzles, and Rugrats. So we got three episodes in there, and it was a lot of fun. I just kind of mirrored my phone to the TV, so I was quiet in the chat for the most part, but we were there and it was a lot of fun. On to the activities. One of the first activities I completed was a bookmark. So I went to that Monday Mandala page I'm always talking about here on my channel. I think I was first introduced to this website by Kelsey, I think for Old School April, maybe last year, and the kids and I have been using it ever since. We use it for any sort of theme that we're doing, poetry tea time, holiday coloring sheets, things like that. Well, there was a section for bookmarks, and I thought, what fun is that? I can make myself a bookmark as a craft and count it towards Old School April. Well, little did I know there was one that's totally on brand for my team, Record Store Rockers, and one side says Rock Your Reads, so I colored that. And I like how the blue kind of turned out a little bit like denim, like jeans. And then the back has like a band performing. It's a concert. So I am not crafty at all. I used a glue stick to glue them together and packing tape to seal it all up. And I accidentally did my hole punch too far up. Unfortunately, I don't have a single hole punch. I have one of those long bars that has the 3-hole punch, and I couldn't really see what I was doing, so I should have just left it alone. I was gonna put some yarn or string or something through it, but you know, it's good as it is. It'll work. You know, I've used worse things as bookmarks, right? And again, for one of the activities, I participated in a Saturday morning cartoons OSA official Discord watch party that was headed up by Kelsey. I also attended 2 sprints. I think both were hosted by Kelsey. I jumped in on a sprint that Kat was hosting, but I wasn't in there long enough to feel like I could count that. So, you know, life happens. You jump on and then, you know, things happen and you got to jump back off. So I just didn't want to count that. So we've got 2 points for sprints. For a nostalgic snack, I actually ate one of those old school cupcakes with sprinkles. You know, lots of kids brought those for their birthday back in the day, for the class at school. And it just made me think of, you know, classroom birthday parties. I'm always watching Ambience when I read or write, especially if the kids and I are all kind of reading our own books and we want something in the background, you know, just to kind of bring the ambience to the experience, you know. So the one that I chose was the 1980s game room on Autumn Cozy. I think I was first introduced to this particular channel by Kelsey for Old School April last year or the year before, I'm not sure, but Autumn Cozy has quickly become one of my favorite go-to ambience channels, and she does an amazing job and creates everything herself. There's no AI in that, which I really appreciate. It's really hard for me to decipher certain things with AI, so I'm always asking my adult kids or my teenagers to help me figure that out. So it is helpful when channels talk about their process and show you what they do, or just share that they will not use AI. Helps me out a lot. So I'm becoming more and more particular about the channels that I support in that way. There was one channel that I loved. And then there was a video I had playing, and all the other videos looked pretty legit, you know, like they weren't AI looking. But there was one that showed up and one of my daughters walked in and said, "Hey mom, that looks like AI, like really bad." And I wasn't like watching the whole thing, so I didn't see as many of the transitions and things that were happening. So I'm really glad that she caught it, and it's so sad because that was one of my favorite channels, but not naming names. I just want to say, if you have some good ambience channels that you enjoy, specifically spooky vibe ambience channels, let me know, because I'm always on the hunt for a good creative ambience channel that can bring those spooky vibes when I want them. And there's also a 1970s basement, which I think I like even better, even though I was not alive in the 70s. I just love those 70s vibes. I love them. And you know, my basement growing up for the longest time felt a little bit 70s because we had this weird like patchwork carpet downstairs that had the shag carpet, but then like certain squares were lower like indoor outdoor style carpet, and it was all browns and oranges and creams and all these like patterns that were totally 70s in my head, even though our house was built in the 80s. So I don't know. Anyway, I listened to 12 nostalgic songs. They were from Third Eye Blind, Deftones, A Perfect Circle, Blues Traveler, Bush, System of a Down, The Smashing Pumpkins, Coheed and Cambria, The Rolling Stones, Semisonic, and Train. So it was just mostly random because like most of the stuff I listen to is old school anyway. Yes, I've become one of those. I listen to oldies, what the young kids would consider oldies now. You know, you get to a certain age and you're just kind of, you stick with what you love. And I'm not opposed to embracing newer artists. I love me some Billie Eilish and Lana Del Rey and things like that. But most of what I listen to is from the early 2000s, the 90s, and before. And then my husband was in the mood to listen to some 90s, early 2000s music. And so he put on a YouTube playlist. So I got my videos in as well. And some of those artists that were on this playlist were the Red Hot Chili Peppers, The Verve, Radiohead, Three Doors Down, Nirvana, Savage Garden, Eiffel 65, Soundgarden, Foo Fighters. Did I say Foo Fighters? Did we do Foo Fighters? Beck, Soul Asylum, and Creed. So that took me back for sure. That was a specifically curated playlist. I also watched, liked, and commented on vlogs and videos on YouTube. 11 vlogs and videos. And I will far surpass the 30 points were allotted, but that's how many I got to this week. So we'll see how many I get to next week. Now, keep in mind, some of these updates are not completely up to date because I'm saving a couple things that I did yesterday and today for next week's update. I'm just updating as far as what I've already submitted. So the 6 Sad April prompt that I submitted and completed was the TBR prompt. And I also played 1 hour worth of nostalgic board games with my son and one of them with my daughter as well. Guess Who, Battleship, and Trouble. So we played for an hour total for 2 points. I don't know if a t-shirt counts as outfit or accessory, but I got the point for that because I wore a Rolling Stones t-shirt one day. And this is very nostalgic for me because my parents, back when I was in, I want to say 11th grade, 10th or 11th grade, I believe it was 11th grade, my parents took my friend and I to a Rolling Stones concert, and they also had a couple of their friends tag along as well. It was so much fun. We created some awesome memories that night, and I did have a t-shirt from that experience that we bought from someone in the parking lot outside the venue, but I no longer have that. I purchased the t-shirt I wore from Torrid a couple years ago. It is ratty. It is full of holes. I should probably pitch it, but I still wear it all the time and I absolutely love it. So that's just kind of how I do. I wear clothes until they cannot be worn anymore, or until they're in such bad condition that it's embarrassing even to wear them at home. And finally, I made a nostalgic recipe on Easter. It was green bean casserole. That is one of my favorite sides for Easter, Christmas, whenever I can make it, whenever I have an excuse to make it. I love me some green bean casserole with the French fried onions. Love it. I also have another nostalgic recipe that I didn't get to that I'd like to, that's very springy. So we will see that coming up soon. And I have plans for some more snacks. Well, a couple. I have a couple really specific things that I would like, but I don't plan on going hog wild with the snacks, but you never know. Oh, we shall see what I get into next. I will continue reading these two books and Coffin Dodger, and when I'm done with those, we'll see what I get into. I'd love to hear what you've been getting into for Old School April. If you've got a video and I haven't checked it out yet, let me know so I can add it to my OSA playlist and check it out before the end of the month or after, because you know I'm slow. Slow at getting to things, but I do my best with the time I have, and I really hope that you are enjoying all the old school nostalgia and enjoying meeting new friends through this whole experience as well. I've met some great people already, and I look forward to getting to know everyone a little bit better through all of this. I am trying my best to participate in the Discord server a lot more often than I did in past years, so doing my best, but I'm not stressing. And go record store rockers. Cheers to celebrating the good things of the past. I'll see you next time. Bye.